Hello, my name is Brian with Warming Trends. Once you've made the decision on the design for your outdoor fire feature, there are a few other choices that need to be made, including the best type of ignition for the environment your fire feature is in. The installer will need to obtain information on the safety or building codes that are applicable to the area in which the fire feature will be installed. In this video, I'll be giving you the various options that Warming Trends has to choose from, including Matchlet, push-button, or 3-volt battery-operated systems, as well as two 24-volt options, which are spark and hot surface. First is the Matchlet system, which is also known as a matchlight or match throw. This ignition comes standard with all Crossfire burners and is popular with residential installations. Matchlet systems are easy to install, operate, and require very little maintenance. Here's how they work. First, the person lighting it would turn the key valve counterclockwise to initiate gas flow between the gas supply line and the burner. Using the key, the person can adjust the flow, therefore adjusting the flame height, or even stop the gas flow if needed, thereby turning the fire feature off. It is recommended to have an extended barbecue lighter rather than a match. As the fuel begins to flow, the lighter will ignite the burner, and once the user sees the flame present, the key valve can be adjusted to create a larger flame if preferred. For your safety, if you open the key valve and do not have the ignition source ready, gas may have accumulated. Therefore, it is best to close the key valve and try again at a later time so the fuel has time to dissipate before relighting. Another option for those who prefer not to use a match to light their fire feature is a push-button ignition. A push-button is often battery-powered. When the user presses the button, a small charge travels through the wires to the spark rod, which is placed close to the burner. The spark probe creates an arc between the jet and the burner to light the system. This is very similar to the ignition process of a barbecue grill. A nice feature about this ignition type is it does not require the presence of 110 AC power to the fire feature. Now let's discuss the manual thermocouple ignition. The manual thermocouple option uses the same igniter as the push-button ignition. The additional component that makes this ignition more sophisticated is the incorporation of a thermocouple gas valve. Once the system is lit, as long as flame is present, the thermocouple keeps the gas valve open and will allow the fuel to flow. If the flame is extinguished, the gas valve will shut automatically. The valve can also be shut down manually by turning the gas knob clockwise. Another ignition option that incorporates thermocouple technology is our 3-volt ignition. The 3-volt ignition is operated with two D-cell alkaline batteries, so you don't need to run power to the fire feature. The ignition uses a rocker switch, which comes as the standard switch option. This will turn the fire feature on and off. This kind of ignition is convenient, safe, and ideal for retrofits where running power directly to the fire feature is not an option. It is important to keep in mind that you will need to access the batteries for replacement. Customers can remove the lava rock or media from the top of the fire feature and access the batteries by pulling the system out of the pit. If possible, it is more convenient to incorporate some type of access point on the feature so the batteries can be easily replaced. We also offer 24-volt ignition options if the battery-operated systems are not desired. If you decide on this type of ignition, electrical service needs to be arranged. Ensure that your contractor is aware they will be trenching for both the gas and electrical feeds. The 24-volt ignition systems also have thermocouple safety features discussed previously. This ensures that gas flow stops if the flame is blown out by weather such as wind or rain. The circuit should be connected to a switch to turn the fire feature on and off. A nice feature of the electronic ignitions is that they offer a higher BTU rating than the battery-operated ignitions. When an electronic ignition option is chosen, the ignition is mounted to the burner and plate at the Warming Trends factory before shipment, therefore making installation easier. The 24-volt spark ignition includes spark igniter, control module, gas valve, and 24-volt transformer. The transformer that is supplied with this ignition has a pigtail pre-wired into the 120-volt feed side. An electrician can run a 120-volt receptacle out to the feature, which can be run back to the control unit. This can be a standard wall switch, dial timer, or even home automation system. This can be completed before the system arrives, and then the unit can be easily plugged into the receptacle once installed. If you want or need to run low voltage, you can. Simply remove the transformer that is provided and run 24-volt feed to the pit. Lastly, we offer our premium 24-volt ignition system. This employs a hot surface igniter. When power is supplied to this unit, a probe warms and glows, ensuring a constant source of ignition. Some benefits of the premium ignition include the use of a thermopile versus a thermocouple, and the use of a hot surface igniter versus spark. A thermopile is essentially a collection of many thermocouples put together. This allows the heat sensor to retain more heat and operate better in windy conditions. The use of a hot surface igniter is also beneficial because in order for a spark igniter to operate, it needs to create an arc between two pieces of metal. If there's any obstruction, such as corrosion, the spark will not be created and the pilot will not light. A hot surface igniter does not arc against metal, but heats up to a temperature of 1400 degrees to ignite the pilot flame. This can help eliminate unwanted service calls if your client does not properly maintain the feature. Thank you for joining us. We hope this helped you decide on what type of ignition is best for your fire feature.